I often hear people say, oh, I make a lot of money, but I can't actually give account of what I did with this money. I'm Horomnaya, and in this video, I'll be showing you how to make a simple budget tracker that helps you see at a glance what and where you spend the bulk of your money on. All you have to do is to sit tight and watch this video to the end so you can follow the step-by-step procedure I've applied in making this budget tracker to replicate yours. This year, we are being very intentional with our funds and we'll be able to give account of every penny received or spent. So before we get right into the video, kindly click on the subscription button and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first person to be notified whenever I upload new videos. Let's get into the video. So to create your budget tracker, the first thing you want to do is to open up a plain Excel sheet and let's name it January budget tracker. So name it January budgets. Let's just say January budgets. In our budget tracker, we love to know the dates that we receipt or spend a particular fund. We also love to know the category. Is it income? Is it expenses? Is it savings? Also, we love to know the description. If it's income, is it my salary? Is it profits from business? Or is it a gift from a friend? And finally, we would love to know the amount. So we'll specify it in the field here. Say dates, category, description, and finally, amount. Now, let's save this file. So click on the file by your top left, click Save As. So you give it a name, January budgets. Let's save it in our desktop. So you save it. What we want to now do is to start entering our expenses. So let's say today is 5th of January 2026. So in our category field, we want to specify whether it is income, savings, or expenses. So we are going to have to put a data validation in it so that it will only allow us to insert any of these three options. Nothing else can be inserted. So to do that, click on this cell B3, then you press Ctrl Shift, hold Ctrl Shift plus your down arrow. So it selects the remaining part of the column. When you do that, you come to the data tab. In the data tab, under the data tools, you see this drop down arrow, data validation. You click on it and you select data validation. So from the dialog box that comes up, click on the drop down arrow. What we want to have is a list. So you see any value, whole number, decimal, we select list. What do you want to see in our list? We want it to be either income or expenses or savings. So once you've written out where you want to be in the list, you click OK. Automatically, when we click on any cell under the category field, we have this drop down arrow that now restricts us to select either income, expenses, or savings. So let's say the first thing we want to select is income, and this income is for what? Let's say salary. Salary. How much is the salary? Let's just say maybe 600,000. 600,000. Let's say on the 6th of January. Now, category, what kind of expenses did you make? So let's say we made an expense. And let's say we bought food. In the description, we bought food. How much did you spend on food? That's 5,000. And let's also have a third record. Still on this 6th of January, in the category option, let's say from the drop down, okay, let's do savings. What are you saving for? Saving for a new laptop. And how much did you keep aside for this new laptop? Let's just say 20,000. The next thing you want to do at this point is to differentiate your heading from the rest of the records. To do that, click on cell A1. Then you also select cell B1. Under the Home tab, under the Alignment group, click on Merge and Center. Then another thing we want to do, click on Bold, and we can increase the font size. So let's increase it to like 18 or 20. So now you can use the light to expand it. So the next thing we want to work on is our headers. Click on the cell that contains your header. Mine is A2. When I click on it, I make it bold and then I increase the font size to like 14. The next thing we want to do to our budget tracker is to color grade our category color such that with the use of color, we'll have our income in green and then our expenses in red. So immediately you look at your budget tracker and you are seeing a lot of red, you know, oh, I'm spending a lot of money. Or you are seeing a lot of green, we know, oh, I'm getting a lot of money. So let's customize our category column and put that color grading function. Select this cell B3. When you select cell B3, and you press Ctrl Shift plus down. So it highlights the rest of the column. Under the whole tab, use the styles group, you see conditional formatting. Click on the drop down arrow and select new row. When you select new row, you see formats all cells based on the values, but that's not what we want to do. So we go for the second one that says format only cells that contain. So these format only cells that contain will come down. Format only cells with cell value, you leave it that way. This between, click on the drop down arrow and we'll see between, not between, equal to, select equal to. So now it's saying cell value equal to. So when my cell value is equal to, you write income. What do you want to do? You want to format. So you click on format. And then you have this. Under the number, font, border, click on fill up here. When you click on fill, then let's select a green color. So it shows us this green color. Let's go for this one. It shows us this green color and we click OK. And it gives you a preview of what it's going to look like when you apply it in your cell. So this is what it's going to look like. We click OK. Now we are going to repeat this step 2 more times because we also want to have different color for our expenses and for our savings. When you go up, you see that automatically the rules has applied on the 7th of January. Again, let's say I made an expenses and these expenses, what did I use the money for? I used it for transportation. You can adjust your line so you just expand it like so you can see everything you're writing very well. Now, how much did I spend on transportation on this particular day? I spent 15,000. So you see automatically when we choose expenses, the color applied to. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause this video and fill up the record with my daily expenses for the month so we can proceed. So now I've filled up my record. Now, next thing you want to do, you want to find your total income. So you write total income. Another thing you want to find is your total expenses. You want to know your total expenses. and also total amount that is saved. So let's just call it savings. And finally, maybe let's put balance in case you have balance at the end of the day. So add your balance. Now, another thing you want to do is to highlight this test and let's make it bold to differentiate it from the others. So for us to calculate the total income we got, you put your equality sign. When you put your equality sign, you write sum if. When you are typing it, the IntelliSense pops up and you just select it from here. So it's asking you for the range. So your first range is your category range. Remember, you start from cell B3 where your first record started from. You don't click on category, which is your header. So you start from the next cell immediately under your header. Now, what else are you going to do? You press Ctrl Shift down. Ctrl Shift plus your down arrow and you put a comma. So what's the criteria? Not to sum if this cell is income. So you put your double quotation mark and you write income. Close it and put a comma. Then your sum range. The amount field is your sum range. So again, you select the cell that is directly under the amount header, which for me is cell D3. Once I select it, I press Ctrl Shift plus down arrow and it selects every other thing in that field. And I close my brackets and I click enter. And immediately I see the total amount of money I got as income, whether it is my profits from my business or gift from somebody or my salary. So the total amount I got in the month of January is 675,000. Now, the next thing you want to do is to find same for your total expenses. So you want to know the better amount that is spent as your expenses. So again, you click on your equality sign and write sum if. Then your range, your first range is the category. Once you select the cell, click Ctrl Shift plus your down arrow. Then you put your comma, again quotation mark, and you specify expenses. So sum if this is expenses, you put your comma and then your sum range. Remember, the amount field is your sum range. So when you select the first column directly under the header, again you press Ctrl Shift plus your down arrow, you close the brackets and you click enter, and automatically it shows you how much that you spent in your expenses. So the total amount I spent as my expenses is 525,000. Now another thing you will do, you want to know how much you saved. So again, let's repeat the process. Sum if. You select the range. Again, Ctrl Shift down. I click your comma. Let's specify that sum if this is savings. And we close and put a comma. Then we select our sum range. We close the brackets and click enter, and immediately it shows us how much we spent as savings. So for us to check our balance, we put our equality sign and say income, total income minus open brackets, total expenses plus your savings. And we click enter, and it automatically shows us that we have a balance of 130,000. Another thing you want to do is that you want to put your currency depending on the currency you are using in your country. So just highlight, select the cell directly under your amount header, and then you click Ctrl Shift down to highlight every other record in that field. Under the number group, in your home tab, under the number group, you click on the drop down arrow and you select currency. So it gives you the option of specifying any currency that you want. But you can treat any currency of your choice, but I'll just stick to the dollars. And also then these records here and apply the same to them. So at this point, you have your budget tracker that tells you the dates you spent your money or received money or saved money. And also it gives you description of what you use that money for. This money that came in, is it salary or gift or profit? Or these expenses that I made, is it for food or house rent or transportation or water, gas, utilities? So at a glance, you see a breakdown of what you are using your money for. The next thing we want to do is to visualize it so that at just a glance, you can be able to look at it and see what is taking the most of your money. First of all, we have to turn this our record into a table. So you select your header. So select the first header, which for me is A2, and then from there you just select every other record. Once you are done selecting it, you click on the Insert tab. When you click on the Insert tab, under Tables, you see Table. Then you click on Table. And then it brings out this pop-up window that asks you, where is the data for your table? Remember, this place be selected. Now, ensure that my table has headers is checked. Sometimes it can be like this for you. It can be unchecked. But if it's unchecked for you, ensure that it is checked because your table have headers. And then you click OK. Once you click OK, it turns it into a table. And from this table, there are different styles. So you can decide to customize it any way you want to with something simple. Like so. I'll go with this one. So you can use anyone you love. The next thing we want to do is click on your table and then go to Insert. Under Insert, click on Pivot Table. So you will see from table or range, and then you see from external data source. So choose from table/range. This dialog box will come up, and then click existing worksheet. We want to see a visualization in the same worksheet that we are working on. So don't click on new worksheet, click existing worksheet, and then what's your location? So you click this up arrow in the location and select a cell. So let me select this cell. And when you select this cell, you come back and click this downward arrow so it can lock in. So once you've done that, you click on OK. And automatically it creates a pivot table for you. Now, in this pivot table, what you are going to do is to select your amount. Once you select your amount, automatically it goes to the values field. Another thing is to select your description. Your description automatically goes to the rows field. Then we want to filter this by category. So select your category and drag it to the filters, and automatically you drag it to the filters. You can close this pivot table field. Once it is closed, in this category that we drag to the filter, if you look at it, you see all, but there's a drop down arrow. Click on the drop down arrow and select expenses because you only want to see the things you spent your money on. Before that, let's take a look at everything here. So this record shows us everything. Gifts, it shows us the description, gifts, money, food, but profits from business, savings, even our savings. But we want to see only our expenses because some of these descriptions are income, some are savings, but we want to see only our expenses. So we come to the category. In the next one, we see the all. There's a drop down arrow. You click on it and select expenses, and you click OK. Once you click OK, it filters it to show only your expenses. And at this point, what you're going to do, look up, you see the pivots analyze. Under this pivot analyze, you see tools, and then you see your pivot chart. Click on pivot chart, and automatically it opens up different options for you. But just click on this, go with this clustered column, you click OK. And just like that, you have a visual representation of this record. So without looking at the write-up, I can easily see that where I spent the bulk of my money on was on house rent, and I spent about 230,000 on house rent. So another thing you can do is to click on this button, then you right click and click hide or field buttons so your visualization can become bigger. So another thing is, let's change this total. You can change this total to expenses so it can be descriptive enough. I will click enter. Once you are done, now you see that at a glance, you can see a breakdown, a detailed breakdown of everything, the money you are receiving, your income, your savings, and what you are spending money on. And also by the right, you can see a visual representation of the activity that is taking the bulk of your money. So without even looking at the record, I can see that I spend the bulk of my money on house rent, followed by food. Then the third one is transportation. And just like so, you can see what you're spending your money on. The good thing is that this can be refreshed. So let's say you added a new record. So if you add a new record, let me just copy this. Let me copy my savings. Add this here. And also add another one. Now, this is savings, but let me save for another thing. So let me remove new laptop. Let's say I'm saving for investments. So let me write investments. And how much did I save for investments? I'm just going to change this to like 100,000. Now you see automatically my balance was about 130 something thousand. But now once I changed my savings to 100,000. This is a new record that was not there before. Automatically my balance dropped to $10,000. Okay, so now let's say that, let me change this savings to expenses. And let me say I bought data. So let me change this to data. And then how much did I save in the data? Let's say that I spent 25,000. I spent 25,000 on data. So you see, immediately my balance drops to 5,000. Now, when you come to your visualization, we are going to refresh so that we can see this record, we can see it implemented in our visuals. So what you would do, select the visualization, right click like so, and then from the options you see refresh data. Click on refresh data and you see automatically my data bar increased because a new record has been added, with that new record came an increment in my data, and that is why it's reflected automatically in my charts. So I believe that with this, you'll be able to see how to make your budget tracker and also to visualize it at once to see what you're spending the bulk of your money on. If you love this video and it has been helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And also when you like, it helps the algorithm push out this video and recommend it to more people so that more people can see it and fix their finances. I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.